On Rye, Chapter 52. The war was going very well in Europe, for Hitler, but most of the students weren't very vocal on the matter. But the instructors were. They were almost all left-wing and anti-German. There seemed to be no right-wing faction among the instructors except for Mr. Glasgow in economics, and he was very discreet about it. It was intellectually popular and proper to be going to war with Germany to stop the spread of fascism. As for me, I had no desire to go to war to protect the life I had, or what future I might have. I had no freedom. I had nothing. With Hitler around, maybe even get a piece of ass now and then, and more than $1 a week allowance. As far as I could rationalize, I had nothing to protect. Also, having been born in Germany, there was a natural loyalty, and I didn't like to see the whole German nation, the people, depicted everywhere as monsters and idiots. In the movie theaters, they speeded up the newsreels to make Hitler and Mussolini look like frenetic madmen. Also, with all the instructors being anti-German, I found it personally impossible to simply agree with them. Out of sheer alienation and a natural contrariness, I decided to align myself against their point of view. I had never read Mein Kampf and had no desire to do so. Hitler was just another dictator to me, only instead of lecturing me at the dinner table, he'd probably blow my brains out or my balls off if I went to war to stop him. Sometimes, as the instructors talked on and on about the evils of Nazism, we were always told to spell Nazi with a small n, even when at the beginning of a sentence, and fascism, I would leap to my feet and make something up. The survival of the human race depends on selective accountability. Which meant, watch out who you go to bed with, but only I knew that. It really pissed everybody off. I don't know where I got my stuff. One of the failures of democracy is that the common vote guarantees a common leader who then leads us to a common apathetic predictability. I avoided any direct references to Jews and blacks, who had never given me any trouble. All my troubles had come from white Gentiles. Thus, I wasn't Nazi by temperament or choice. The teachers more or less forced it on me by being so much alike and thinking so much alike, and with their anti-German prejudice. I had also read somewhere that if a man didn't truly believe or understand what he was espousing, somehow he could do a more convincing job, which gave me a considerable advantage over the teachers. Breed a plow horse to a racehorse and get an offspring that is neither stripped nor strong. A new master race will evolve from purposeful breeding. There are no good wars or bad wars. The only thing bad about a war is to lose it. All wars have been fought for so-called good cause on both sides, but only the victor's cause becomes history's noble cause. It's not a matter of who is right or who is wrong, it's a matter of who has the best generals and the better army. I loved it. I could make up anything I liked. Of course, I was talking myself further and further away from any chance with the girls, but I never been that close anyhow. I figured because of my wild speeches I was alone on campus, but it wasn't so. Some others had been listening. One day, walking to my current affairs class, I heard somebody walking up behind me. I never liked anybody walking behind me, not close, so I turned as I walked. It was the student body president, Boyd Taylor. He was very popular with students, the only man in the history of the college to be elected president twice. Hey, Chinaski, I want to talk to you. I never cared too much for Boyd, but he was a typical, good-looking American youth with a guaranteed future, always properly dressed, casual, smooth, every hair of his black mustache trimmed. What his appeal was to the student body, I had no idea. He walked along beside me. Don't you think it looks bad for you, Boyd, to be seen walking with me? I'll worry about that. Alright, what is it? Chinaski, this is between you and me, got it? Sure. Listen, I don't believe in what guys like you stand for or what you're trying to do, so... But I want you to know if you win here and in Europe, I'm willing to join your side. I could only look at him and laugh. He stood there as I walked on. Never trust a man with a perfectly trimmed mustache. Other people have been listening as well. Coming out of current affairs, I ran to Baldy standing there with a guy 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide. Guy's head was sunk down to his shoulders. He had a very round head, small ears, cropped hair, pea eyes, tiny, wet, round mouth. A nut, I thought. A killer. Hey, Hank! Baldy hollered. I walked over. I thought we were finished, Lacrosse. Oh no, there are great things still to do. Shit, Baldy was one too. Why did the master race move and draw nothing but mental and physical cripples? I want you to meet Igor Sternov. I reached out and we shook hands. He squeezed mine with all his strength. It really hurt. Let go, I said, or I'll bust your fucking missing neck. Igor let go. I don't trust men with limp handshakes. Why do you have a limp handshake? I'm weak today. They burned my toast for breakfast, and at lunch I spilled my chocolate milk. Igor turned to Baldy. What's with this guy? Don't worry about him. He's got his own ways. Igor looked at me again. My grandfather was a white Russian. During the revolution, the Reds killed him. I must get even with those bastards. I see. Then another student came walking towards us. Hey, Fenster, Baldy hollered. Fenster walked up. We shook hands. I gave him a limp one. I didn't like to shake hands. Fenster's first name was Bob. There was to be a meeting at a house in Glendale, the Americans for America party. Fenster was the campus representative. He walked off. Baldy leaned over and whispered in my ear, They're Nazis. Igor had a car and a gallon of rum. We met in front of Baldy's house. Igor passed the bottle. Good stuff. It really burned the membranes of the throat. Igor drove his car like a tank, right through stop signals. People blew their horns and slapped down on the brakes, and he waved a fake black pistol at them. "Hey, Igor," said Baldy, "show Hank your pistol." Igor was driving. Baldy and I were in the back. Igor passed me his pistol. I looked at it. "It's great," Baldy said. "He carved it out of wood and stained it with black shoe polish. Looks real, doesn't it?" "Yeah," I said. "He even drilled a hole in the barrel." I handed the gun back to Igor. "Very nice," I said. He handed back the jug of rum. I took a hit and handed the ball to Baldy. He looked at me and said, "Hail Hitler!" We were the last to arrive. It was a large, handsome house. We were met at the door by a fat, smiling boy who looked like he had spent a lifetime eating chestnuts by the fire. His parents didn't seem to be about. His name was Larry Kearney. We followed him through the big house and down a long, dark stairway. All I could see was Kearney's shoulders and head. He was certainly a well-fed fellow, and looked to be far saner than Baldy, Igor, and myself. Maybe there would be something to learn here. Then we were in the cellar. We found some chairs. Benster nodded to us. There were 7 others there whom I didn't know. There was a desk on a raised platform. Larry walked up and stood behind the desk. Behind him on the wall was a large American flag. Larry stood very straight. "We will now pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America." My God, I thought, I'm in the wrong place. Stood and took the pledge, but I stopped after "I pledge allegiance." I didn't say to what. We sat down. Larry started talking from behind the desk. He explained that since the first meeting, he would preside. For 2 or 3 meetings, after we got to know one another, a president could be elected if we wished. But meanwhile, we face here in America 2 threats to our liberty. We face the communist scourge and the black takeover. Most often they work hand in hand. We true Americans will gather here in an attempt to counter this scourge, this menace. It has gotten so that no decent white girl can walk the streets anymore without being accosted by a black male. Igor leaped up. "We'll kill them!" The communists want to divide the wealth for which we have worked so long, which our fathers labored for, and their fathers before them worked for. Communists want to give our money to every black man, homo, bum, murderer, and child molester who walks our streets. We'll kill them. They must be stopped. We'll arm. Yes, we'll arm, and we'll meet here and formulate a master plan to save America. Fellows cheered. 2 or 3 of them yelled, "Hail Hitler!" Then the get-to-know-each-other time arrived. Larry passed out cool beers, and we stood around in little groups talking, not much being said, except we reached a general agreement that we needed target practice so we could be expert with our guns when the time came. When we got back to Igor's house, his parents didn't seem to be about either. Igor got out a frying pan, put in 4 cubes of butter, and began to melt them. He took the rum, put it in a large pot, and warmed it up. "This is what men drink," he said. Then he looked at Baldy. "Are you a man, Baldy?" Baldy was very drunk. He stood very straight, hands down his sides. "Yes, I'm a man!" He started to weep. The tears came rolling down. "I'm a man!" He stood very straight and yelled, "Hail Hitler!" The tears rolling. Igor looked at me. "Are you a man?" "I don't know. Is that rum ready?" "I'm not sure I trust you. I'm not so sure that you're one of us. Are you a counter-spy? Are you an enemy agent?" "No." "Are you one of us?" "I don't know. Only thing I'm sure of." "What's that?" "I don't like you. Is the rum ready?" "You see," said Baldy. "I told you he was mean." "We'll see the meanest before the night is ended," said Igor. Igor poured the melted butter into the boiling rum, then shut off the flame and stirred. I didn't like him, but he certainly was different, and I liked that. Then he found 3 drinking cups, large, blue, with Russian writing on them. He poured the buttered rum into the cups. "Okay," he said, "drink up." "Shit, it's about time," I said, and I let it slide down. It was a little too hot, and it stank. I watched Igor drink his. Saw his little pea eyes over the rim of his cup. He managed to get it down, driblets of golden buttered rum leaking out of the corners of his stupid mouth. He was looking at Baldy. Baldy was standing, staring down into his cup. I knew from the old days that Baldy just didn't have a natural love of drinking. Igor stared at Baldy. "Drink up!" "Yes, Igor, yes." Baldy lifted the blue cup. He was having a difficult time. It was too hot for him, and he didn't like the taste. Half of it ran out of his mouth and over his chin and onto his shirt. His empty cup fell to the kitchen floor. Igor squared himself in front of Baldy. "You're not a man." "I'm a man, Igor. I'm a man." "You lie." Igor backhanded him across the face, and as Baldy's head jumped to one side, he straightened up with a slap to the other side of his face. Baldy stood his attention with his hands rigidly at his sides. "I'm a man." Igor continued to stand in front of him. "I'll make a man out of you." "Okay," I said to Igor. "Leave him alone." Igor left the kitchen. I poured myself another rum. It was dreadful stuff, but it was all there was. Igor walked back in. He was holding a gun, a real one, an old 6-shooter. "We will now play Russian roulette," he announced. "Your mother's ass," I said. "I'll play, Igor," said Baldy. "I'll play. I'm a man." "All right," said Igor. "There's 1 bullet in the gun. I'll spin the chamber and hand the gun to you." Igor spun the chamber and handed the gun to Baldy. Baldy took it and pointed at his head. "I'm a man. I'm a man. I'll do it." He began crying again. "I'll do it. I'm a man." Baldy let the muzzle of the gun slip away from his temple. Pointed away from his skull and pulled the trigger. There was a click. Igor took the gun, spun the chamber, and handed it to me. I handed it back. You go first. Igor spun the chamber, held the gun up to the light, and looked through the chamber. Then he put the gun to his temple and pulled the trigger. There was a click. Big deal, I said. You check the chamber to see where the bullet was. Igor spun the chamber and handed the gun to me. Your turn. I handed the gun back. Stuff it, I told him. I walked over to pour myself another rum. As I did, there was a shot. I looked down. Near my foot, in the kitchen floor, there was a bullet hole. I turned around. You ever point that thing at me again and I'll kill you, Igor. Yeah? Yeah. Stood there smiling. He slowly began to raise the gun. I waited. Then he lowered the gun. That was about it for the night. We went out to the car and Igor drove us home. But we stopped first at Westlake Park and rented a boat and went out in the lake to finish off the rum. The last drink, Igor lowered the gun and shot holes in the bottom of the boat. We were 40 yards from shore and I had to swim in. It was late when I got home. I crawled over the old berry bush and through the bedroom window. I undressed and went to bed while in the next room my father snored.